Hey guys, welcome to the comic menu, and thank you very much for tuning in once again. If you can please like and share the podcast, and so we can get more exposure out here. What's up, Brian? How you doing, brother? Today we do have Daniel from Vortex Breaks. He is stepping in for Josh. Josh couldn't make it unfortunately today because of some family issues, and of course, family comes first. If you can't make it, we understand. But Daniel stepped in. He's going to be the champion. We're going to talk about Vortex Breaks. If you don't know who they are a card, uh, basically a card uh, selling. Not I want to say platform. I want to say like more like of a team, right? They that's what they do. They'll sell on whatnot. They do great. They're one of the bigger names on whatnot at the moment, and they're doing everything great. And I know there's some drama going on with there, but we are going to bring you someone we trust. We believe they're 100% legit, and we're going to explain why. And we are going to dabble a little bit with the situation. Can I join? Yeah, Steve, if you want some information, Brian. What's up, Brian? Um, Real quick, I am going to bring in my co-host for the day, Caesar.
Hey, people! Another different venue tonight. We're going to jump in again to the cards, but this time a little deeper. I'm still new to the whole cards thing, and I'm not gonna get into it. But it is kind of cool to know the knowledge. So kind of excited to see how this goes today.
And real quick, I want to say a shout out to our sponsor with Jeffrey Ward. We are archival defensive clear back and boards. They're those invincible back and boards. I want to, as soon as I can, I want to show them out, do a little test run, and see how the project is with a lot of your comics. As soon as we get that, we'll get you that information. So without any further ado, we do got Daniel. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, what's up, guys?
See, finally somebody with a better beard than me.
Yeah, right.
I
Finally.
just trimmed it too.
Oh,
Ah, dude, I need to trim it. It's honestly I've been having it in control. Today it's been, but it's all right. But like I was saying, Daniel is Josh's right hand man, and since I've known Josh, I mean, they started off small. I met Josh in a stream on whatnot. They would be follow for follow. It was a follow for follow, follow each other back and forth, and I thought that was so great. And I met up with him. I found out who he was on Facebook. We started talking, and since then they went to what are you at right now, Daniel? 55,000 members or
jeez!
followers.
I think we're really close to 60K.
Wow, wow!
Very
That's
close.
impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, and honestly, when it comes to cards on whatnot, they have the advantage versus comics because there's a lot more buyers and stuff. So, uh,
Mhm.
Daniel, before we talk about Vortex, how did you start in the business? How did you start collecting cards? What was your favorite thing?
Sure. I guess I won't talk too much of my childhood. I think everyone that was born in the 90s collected. Um, and then I kind of went on a hiatus after I sold my collection in a yard sale for like $10, something crazy. And it was like right around COVID, I started getting back into collecting again. I ended up meeting Josh and a lot of the other people that we have on the team now through a Facebook group. It's just a buy sell trade group, and I don't know, just ended up being buddies there. And then Josh at the time had a Shopify shop where he would just sell graded cards mostly. And he eventually got accepted on the Whatnot platform. It was a little bit more limited, a little bit more exclusive to get in. And I think after like 2 or 3 streams, he had a conversation with Lewis and I, Lewis, and
Yeah.
ended up bringing us on. And then since then, we've just been adding people and trying to grow and expand as much as we can.
You're telling me because, like I was saying, y'all only started with a few thousand. You did it, and then I think that same night. So from the idea the Vortex had at that time, I'm lying. It was more than just 2K. It was like 5 to 10K, and it was follow for follow. That same night, Chumley was in the group in the chat, and he had a stream like right after or during towards the end of Vortex, and he was doing his own thing. He started doing the same thing, so he caught on like that part of
Yeah.
how we overuse community. That community community part was real cool. Like, hey, follow that person, and this is and that, and this person bought a card, give it away. That person bought a card, give it away. It was so
Mm-hmm.
fun for a whole 1 or 2 hours. So there's, how everybody talks about the negativity. There's so much positivity there that it's so surreal, pretty much.
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate that our community is some of the most positive people that are on the app. I'm kind of convinced of that. Everything from donating to causes that we have, like, on a personal side. Like, my mom has to have surgery later this year, and I have in my notes, like, hey, all tips go towards I'm gonna plan on giving all the money to my mom to help with medical expenses. And I've raised like close to $2,000 in like 3 weeks.
That's
Just
great.
people tipping and being generous, and like there's people that jump into the chat and they're big supporters, and we'll push followers their way. We'll have people go bookmark their shows, because that's where we started. We wouldn't be anything without people in the chat, like,
Right.
watching and engaging with us, and that's how we grew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you, I was actually, I don't remember if Josh answered me this question, but do y'all just stick straight with Whatnot, or do you also on eBay or any other platform?
Really just exclusively on Whatnot. Whatnot's our home, and that's kind of where we're laying our bed, I guess.
So I have a couple of photos, and you just give me a description of what this means or where this is at.
Sure. Okay, so that was. I go to so many collecticons. I want to say that was Kansas City. It looks like Kansas City. Um, we actually we either just finished or we were about to start our stream at the Whatnot booth right there behind us standing there. And we just knew we had to get a group photo. So we got JC over there on the far left. Obviously, looks like, Lewis and Josh are holding me, Lewis in the middle, Josh on the right. So that was the only way we could see fit to take a group picture, apparently. So,
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
That makes sense.
yeah.
And then,
So this is actually in my office. So I actually had the guys over. I'm trying to remember what it was for. There's just been so many times when the guys have come over, conventions, but it looks like I can't remember what the occasion was, but we were ripping into a bunch of vintage packs this night. I think Josh had brought a bunch of pack inventory with him, and we were opening Top Series 3, Fossil. I think we had Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge, if I'm remembering correctly. So that's Brandon. He's a part of the Vortex Breaks team as well. We call him Jesus sometimes. He's got that long, luscious hair. And that's Josh sitting there, and Brandon's looking like he's excited about something. I don't know.
and then we got another family photo right here.
Yeah, so this one's super important to me. I'm hoping Josh will rewatch the podcast, but and Lewis as well. So this was our very first big event. Whatnot actually invited us out to stream at their booth at the Dallas Collecticon. It was actually our first Collecticon, if I'm remembering correctly. I think we were at like 10,000 followers, something like that. And we were breaking open a first edition Team Rocket box. And
Mm.
that was like right after the break was over. It was super successful. We were super excited. Just kind of like a little group hug kind of thing. But yeah, I'll remember that. I remember that photo forever, man. It's just it was just the start of it was like at that moment we knew this was like the start of something great kind of thing.
Talking about something great. That's got to be one of the bigger moments, huh?
Yeah. And this is actually the same boot. So you can see that's a Team Rocket box. So that's when I was kind of up there solo. I think the guys took a bathroom break or something. But yeah, that's me behind the Whatnot booth, and that's pretty much my profile picture for indefinitely, at least that I have right now until I get something better. But I've had that one for a minute.
So, and then one more thing I want to show everybody, and this is gonna be fun. Y'all know who Lee is, right? I know, obviously, Daniel knows Caesar. Everybody in the comment section, I've seen some comments, but I'll get back to them right now. We're gonna see something real nice.
Congratulations, bro. Never thought you know matter though. Whatnot? You all ready? Launch break.
I didn't mean to get right in front of you, but you're tall.
Congratulations on you. We got a special guest in the house. All right, chat. This is for the first auction only. That's coming with the first auction only. Man, oh man. Sign Pikachu. You guys know I love Pikachu. Pikachu would whoop Charizard's butt any day. You know, I don't know if these guys have. I've been child on me, so I'm not cursing like you. It's really hard. I work with Rick all day. Every other word out of his mouth is the F word. I can't get
It's kind of muching it up, but that was Lee with them. And can you give us a little breakdown on what that was?
Yeah, so we were actually setting up, and he just happened to be walking by, and he came up and just asked, what was going on, what were we doing, and we're like, hey, we're open to First Ed Team Rocket, and he was like, hey, I mean, if you want me to hang out for a little bit, and we're like, you want to open up the first pack? And he was like, hell yeah, I'll open up the first pack. So that's what he was doing there. So he was a super chill guy, super easy to talk to. He might be on TV, but he's pretty down to earth.
Oh yeah, he's got into, and because he's into shoes and cards, and not just Pokemon cards. He does a lot of different kinds. So like he dabbles in everything. It's crazy. He's not just as a guy from Pawn Stars. He actually has not an alter ego, but another life outside of there. But with the people that don't know, like Caesar or me a little bit, what is the difference between a rocket power or a box to like a regular obsidian box? If you can give us more of a context with that.
Yeah. So Team Rocket, that was printed by Wizards of the Coast. So those we would consider vintage boxes, roughly, over 20 years ago, give or take a few years. And then Obsidian Flame, that's the newest set that just released, and we would consider those more of a modern set. In terms of value, like Obsidian Flame booster boxes, you can get for like $130, $120 right now for most of your card shops. First Ed Team Rocket, they're probably going to be at a resale value of around 15, 16K, somewhere around there.
But explain why. Why so much?
I think it's just because of the limited print run back then. They didn't print a whole bunch of them. And they're relatively hard to find now. You essentially have to have a good connection, be willing to pay the going market rate on eBay, or get lucky. Someone's cleaning out their attic or something, and you happen upon it.
But what's the benefit? In other words, what's the chances that you could find in one of these boxes?
Sure. I mean, if you pull up eBay right now, you can find them. But the challenge for us is, there's got to be a little bit of room for us to sell on whatnot, to be able to make a little bit of money there. But we're not always concerned about making money when we open those kind of boxes. We're okay with a break even, and even if we lose a little bit, it's putting us out there on the application. It's kind of like a form of marketing.
So with those boxes, what are the grails? Like, what are the big
that's
hits?
what I mean.
Oh, yeah. So out of that box, it was a first edition hollow Dark Charizard. In that specific set, you can pull a non-hollow Charizard, also a first edition, but it doesn't hold quite as much value. But the biggest card out of that set would be the hollow Charizard. And funny enough, Brandon, the long-haired dude we had in the picture earlier, before he joined Vortex Breaks, before he joined the team, he was actually attending, and he purchased a pack, and we let him open his own pack, and he pulled that card and immediately ran it over, got it graded. He ended up getting a PSA 9, but at the time, I think it was like a $1,300 slab. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Especially
I would think the adrenaline rush. Listen,
Oh yeah.
that's the whole thing, right? It's almost the same with comic books. Like if you were to buy a blind long box, a short box, and you go the guy's 85 years old, he goes, I don't know what's in it, and you're like, oh boy, am I the only eyes on it? Yep. You get that adrenaline rush of what can I find? So to open and unpack the the shrink wrap, and to find and get to see what's going on, that's the love, right? That's why people tune in, because they're like, what's he gonna find? It's almost
Oh
like they live
yeah.
vicariously through you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And Steve, good point. Like the money maker, regardless of what you get, the first run Pokemon cards are still the most valuable cards, right? Of like the first like run, what is the most valuable card from there?
If you're talking base set unlimited, it's like the first set that the US received. They did print a first edition run, an unintended shadowless run, and then a base set unlimited run. If you're talking base set unlimited, it would be the Charizard again. Charizard pretty much
Yeah.
reigns supreme in almost every single set. There's very few sets where Charizard doesn't end up being the most valuable card. It's a fire lizard dragon, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And like my son collects all Charizard as much as he can get. Cards are the future. Cards, honestly, we were talking about in the background. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but it's good. It all depends. Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now it's still good. Obviously, Pokemon is king with regular cards. Sports cards are I've seen a lot of, right, of different kinds. But we were talking about MetaZoo. For a while it was here. It was supposed to be the next big thing, and it disappeared. So if you don't analyze or control, or you got to know how to handle your business. You might be doing good. Don't push it too much. Just let it flow. It's supposed to flow. Like Pokemon wasn't supposed to be what it is right now. It was just supposed to be for fun.
Yeah.
Now it's fucking extraordinary. Like obviously there's cons specifically for Pokemon cards, and
Yeah.
people just drive it. Like, obviously Daniel and Vortex breaks. They do basically Pokemon cards. That's our bread and butter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's correct.
Let me see. The Pokemon 151 is pretty hot right now, and such. The new Pokemon 151. I don't know what that is, Billy. Honestly, like I'm learning. We have Daniel here is our expert. You guys got questions? This guy is gonna supposed to answer everything for us. He's supposed to be
Right.
that guy.
Yeah, I got it.
He's the
Yeah,
expert. We're just hosting the dude.
yeah. Pokemon 151 is a really hot set. So it's only released in Japan right now. Typically, what happens with every single Pokemon set, it will release over in Japan first, and then normally a month later, that same set will be released in English. Occasionally, they'll do like two subsets in Japan, but then when it releases in English, they'll put them both together. But it's typically like a month or two apart. 151 is a little strange because it released, I think, a little over a month ago now, but it doesn't release until mid September, if I'm not mistaken. Don't judge me
Here,
too hard. I'm not real good on dates for some of these releases, but 151, it's very popular because it's all Kanto region Pokemon. So the original 151 Pokemon from the base set. Um, they're basically being reprinted. Some of the arts are being reused, repurposed. There's new art styles. There's just a lot of really cool cards to chase in the set. It's probably going to be the most popular set released in the US this year.
why do you say that?
Simply because it's the original 151,
Oh, okay.
151 Pokemon. That's what people love. It's really nostalgic when you open up the packs because you can hit all the Pokemon that you
Watch
had,
for growing
when you
up.
were a kid and on TV shows and video games. Yeah.
You know it. You know it, people say that this kind of stuff is it's a form of different type of gambling, right? Because you are paying money for a box and you're gambling that you get something good, and if
Hmm.
not, then it's like, well, I guess that's it, right? You just move on to the next, and I guess. But what do you do with the other stuff? Do you just sell them as sets, or What do you do with, like, say you just get a box and you get nothing? I mean, I do
Mhm.
mean nothing. What do you do with just the leftovers?
So at least what we do on stream, when I was a kid, God only knows what I did with my cards. I probably stuffed them in my pocket, or maybe I threw them away. I doubt I threw them away, but so whenever we rip packs now, which isn't very often, whenever we rip packs, any of the bulk cards is what it's considered.
Yeah.
I save all mine to the side, and I take them and I donate them
You
to
donate 'em.
kids. So
Yeah.
my daughter goes to physical therapy once a week, and they see lots of kids that come in there, and some of them are super unmotivated, but I just bring them all the extra cards. They use them as kind of a motivation. You can pick out 5 cards, that kind of thing.
Right, right.
You can save them, and there's people that buy like 1,000 bulk cards at a time, and you might make 15-20 bucks every 1,000 cards, but I
Yeah.
we're kind of for the kids, so that's what we do.
So, I mean, before I bring up to what Billy said, there was a something brought this up. Thanks to where was it?
Oh yeah. Thanks to Post
Post
Malone and the
Malone.
One
So,
Ring.
did y'all buy boxes at all to like see if y'all can get that card?
Didn't open any. Well, let me rephrase that. I didn't open any. I don't know if anyone on the team did. If anyone did, it was probably Brandon. He kind of dabbles in Magic as well. Maybe Jason too.
I,
But I didn't personally open any. No.
I can't imagine you opening that card, and it's probably one of those things where you're looking at it and you're probably staring at it for about 10 minutes because you're probably going, is this really the card, right? Is this really
Yeah.
the one ring? And I saw the video of the guy flipping it and this and that. I would right away put that in a little hard stock, a little hard card holder, and leave it alone, and then
Oh
go do your
yeah.
research. I wouldn't even flip it. I wouldn't even breathe on it. I wouldn't look at it. Right. But it
I
sold
wouldn't
for
have been able
what?
to hold it.
2 point. He sold, how much he paid for it? 2.1.
2.6.
2.6.
For a card made out
Yeah.
of paper, hard stock.
One of
And
one though. It's one of.
It is.
yeah,
It is the One Ring, right? So
it's
that's crazy, man.
insanity.
That is
And, you know,
crazy.
the funny thing is, I don't want to say it started with Pokemon. Pokemon made it more mainstream, right? With the collecting and stuff like that. With Logan Paul joining in and
Yeah.
doing his fiascos and stuff, but as well as that is influencing other card realms, right? Like what Billy said, the 100% gamble, but the new Marvel Masterpiece card. So there's cards with Marvel, right? I think Caesar, you have some old school ones, right?
Yeah, so like I have like these 95 Marvel ones that I put them in the little hard case that eventually, I'm going to send them off. Now, I don't know jack shit. Now, I've had these since 1995 and I just collected them. So I went on eBay to find out which one of these are the most
Oh, that one's sick.
like what are they going for? So as I'm doing that, I go, oh, I got that one. I got that one. So I started looking to see how much they go for slabbed. So I was like, oh shit, really? $400 for that and $500 for that and stuff like that. So I have quite a few of these pretty cool ones, but they're just cool to have. Um, but I wasn't like, I guess there's a game to this. There's a power rating and all that shit. I don't know, but
But my idea is that the price for this has gone up as well as, you know, Pokemon cards are evolving. The people are want, but right. What was the most expensive other than Logan Paul's Charizard card? What was the most expensive card ever sold? Do you know, Daniel?
Yeah, it would be the Pikachu card. I'm kind of spacing on the name, but
Mm.
it's actually the one Logan Paul I
Mhm.
think purchased.
So that's
Bought
the
it.
most expensive.
Yeah, it was like 3 million. I'm guessing right now. I can't remember the exact figure, but he had like a 9 and the other person had a 10, and it's the only 10 in the world apparently, and he traded his 9 for the 10 and then also gave money on top of it.
Damn.
So
Like close
I,
for Messi.
I was watching and I recommend, yeah, Steve, I don't have that. I was watching and if you guys haven't seen it, that show on Netflix, The Golding.
Golding, I've watched it
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So if you saw it, if you saw the whole episode, there's only like 4 episodes, 6 episodes. He did the whole Logan Paul, the where he had the original. What do you call it, Daniel? The first gen box or whatever they call it,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
He had a first edition Shadowless box.
And he got
Yeah.
nothing. In
Yeah.
one of them, he got nothing, and he spent God knows how much on it. And that's when they're like, "Well, I'll pay you more this and this and that if you open your other box."
Right.
And he's just fucking freaking out because, but how else are you gonna know if you have anything good if you don't open it?
Yeah. I think
And
feel like it's one of those moves where they did it for the show, that's
Yes.
going to get a lot of attention,
Yes, yeah.
but probably not the best financial move. Although he's probably getting paid to be on the show, so
Exactly. So, I'm sorry to interrupt, not interrupt, but yeah, what John said. When I read into it, that it was a fake box. He got sold a fake box. That it was a resealed packages of first gen, and because he was supposed there's like a 1 in something chance of getting a hit or whatever in that box, and he didn't get anything. What I was reading is that it was fake, and they're looking into that. So I was like, damn, that's crazy how somebody sold Logan Paul a fake, but he bought it from somebody that he knew, but that person that
Mhm.
bought it for somebody else, right? And it happens, and this happens a lot. Now I want to say a lot because I'm not gonna, I don't want to ruin nothing, but we see it that people sell real reseal packages, right? They have these energy games and stuff like that. Vortex breaks, you all sell singles. There's no
Mhm.
chance. There's no cheating. There's nothing involved. You're just buying the single straight up. That's all it is. There is that stuff going on. We know that, but we wanted to bring somebody that it knows what they're doing, has fun with it, and is just there for their community. Obviously, they're there just to have fun, and they've been organic. They don't buy their viewers and nothing like that. They do giveaways like everybody else, but it is what it is. But I'm going back real quick. That it was a fake box. Really hope that Pikachu Illustrator sold for 5.3 million to Logan Paul.
There we go.
I mean-
Billy's got it.
so I don't know, guys. Listen, but what the fuck am I saying? Like how much when we spend money on these slabs, right? We're like, oh, $1,400 here. I get it. And someone spends $3.6 million on an AF-15. I get it. So what's the difference between that and the card? Really, not really much. The only difference is something's from the 1960s, and when did Pokemon come out?
99.
Mhm.
There we go. Right, but collecting is collecting. It doesn't have a face. And if you have the money, fucking drop it.
Daniel, I don't know
Right.
if you read into it because I even though I'm not into cards, I find out stuff. I think there was a con. I don't know if it was Chicago or somewhere that happened a week ago or 2 weekends ago. Somebody stole $30,000 worth of cards. Did you hear about that?
Oh,
How?
it's $300,000 worth.
How?
It was actually a Gen Con here in Indianapolis. That's where I'm based out of. I don't know. I don't know if I think they had two suspects now. They had
Yes.
found their pictures, but I don't know if anything's come of it. But
Okay.
yeah, these two guys stole a whole pallet of TCG cards. They didn't
Yeah.
say what the cards were.
A pallet?
Yeah, a
Oh.
whole pallet, and it was worth $300,000.
It's still a pallet. I mean,
It's on video. I wonder if I can get it on real. We all talk real quick. See if I can find that video.
But so actually going to that, Daniel. Now I'm curious. I'm assuming what do you guys do to prevent any kind of scams or stuff like that? Like, what do you guys look at to kind of go? I don't know. Like the like now when they mark $100 bill to see if it's real with the marker.
Mhm.
What do you guys have? Do you guys have like some kind of bullshit detector or what's going on?
It mainly revolves around when we're buying. We rarely buy on Facebook anymore. When we were just getting started, we relied on Facebook a lot, buying people's old collections.
Uh-huh.
And the biggest things you would run into buying on sites like Facebook are people saying that they have something, but they don't actually have it, or it's not in the condition that they state.
Uh,
Or I've got a couple good examples actually that's happened to me actually this year where we agree on it, like they have a timestamp with their name, the date. I have them write my name on a piece of paper
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
cards so I can see they actually have them. But then they don't end up shipping. They have an excuse why they can't send tracking, and it's a lot of people trying to they basically get a free short-term loan through PayPal.
It's no different than the comic world, right? They'll
Right.
Photoshop their name on a piece of paper on another piece of picture, and you can kind of tell if it's a little tampered,
Mhm.
or like in your case, yeah, I shipped it, and you get a bag of Cheetos, right? And then you did a fake,
Yeah.
you do a claim, and they already got their money. It's weird. Scammers are such shitty people.
Oh yeah.
They're the lowest of the low for me. Thieves in general, right? These
Mhm.
guys are stealing a pallet.
Yeah,
I would still love to see how you steal a
I don't
pallet.
know how they orchestrated that. They must have, I don't
It's like
know,
that's
had
some
a truck
Ocean's
nearby. I don't
that's some
know.
Ocean's 11 shit right there, right?
Yeah.
That's some clandestine coming from the ceiling, don't touch the ground kind of a thing. But I would think that a lot of fake cards are printed, and now with the technology that we have, they could be faked so good, right? It's
Oh
getting down.
yeah.
They're getting down to a science.
I could tell you guys a story. I bought like 9 cards from someone, and it equated to, I paid around $3,000 for them, and I was getting a incredible deal. Almost it was a too good to be true situation. My radar was going off, but I thought, maybe I'm getting lucky here.
Okay.
And he even took a video of them and sent everything to me. Everything looked legitimate. He didn't seem shady. I received them in the mail, and they were 100% fake. You could tell just by how they feel.
Okay.
By the look of them, very difficult to tell, but you could tell when you held them in your hand and hit it on the light just right. So luckily that was all through PayPal, but these guys go through incredible links to try to get away with this stuff. Like he shipped it out of Chicago, which is, I'm in Indy. That's
Not too
3
far.
hours away,
Yep.
And that's the return address on the package. Well, when I filed a dispute through PayPal, well, this guy's PayPal is registered in Russia, a Russian address. So in order for me to get my refund, unless he just agrees to the refund, I have to ship those cards back, and they have to show delivered to an address in Russia. So imagine how stressful that is, because it might not even be an actual address.
Right.
It might never show delivered, and then I'm out $3,000, and that guy gets away with it. But he eventually agreed that he didn't need the cards back and he would refund the money. So I kind of looked out there, but you have to be very careful purchasing on sites like Facebook. I've even seen scams on eBay.
Oh yeah.
So real quick, because I have a story too, and Caesar might remember the story. It's an old story. So this is the two guys that stole
So it was one of those pellets that was on the on one of those
so they
little
got there in
wheels.
the load-in, and they just got moves. They took the whole box. Look at that, man. That's crazy.
You know what? Screw those guys for not well. So yeah, screw these guys. But the security, who said it? Someone said it in one of the comments that the security. There's surprisingly little security icons, considering there's literally millions of dollars in collectibles laying around. True. How many cons you go and there's a bunch of AF-15s on walls and shit like that? We're not talking chump change here, right?
Look what Alex said right now. Hold on, where is it? Alex said they right here. They stole, and so if you don't know that much, that Hulk 1 is one of the bigger grails for comics.
Okay.
So they stole a Hulk 1 signed by Stan Lee, who has already passed away, right? And is graded at a 1.8. Even at that range, that is a 200K book, maybe,
It's
right?
not cheap.
Wow.
It's not cheap, that's for sure. They stole it, and that's happened in quite a bit. They've sold, so that's the first appearance of Hulk. And Hulk is a big name, right? And then I think in MegaCon in Florida, they stole a AF-15 of first appearance of Spider-Man. So yeah, it is crazy. Like there's no security to protect the vendors and stuff like that.
You have to have it. Listen, the way I would do it, not that I would, but if I had an AF-15, obviously you don't have it on the wall. You would have it. I would have that shit wrapped around my. I'll be like a Flavor Flav with that shit around my
Right?
neck, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
or like Ted DiBiase with that fucking luggage that's handcuffed to the. Because that's the way it is. I'm not going to let this out of my sight. You know what? You want to steal my first whatever shipbook, whatever, right? But AF-15s, Hulk number ones, I'm keeping that shit under wraps. But it
You
happens.
just hang it right here.
That's
you
it.
know?
It's easier to hold though. That's easier to have like something like this.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
around. Hey, I'll make it work. I'll make it work because those aren't cheap books. But you know what? When there's a will, there's a way. So when other people see that people got away with it and they see what they did wrong, those are the ones you got to watch out for because they're going to be like, you know where they fucked up? I'll tell you where they messed up. I will not make that bad thing. And there was that one video, you saw it. I think you posted it, Dal, that one guy who was hitting different cons and he was just stealing slabs and he was a smooth operator and they keep getting him on camera. You know what? The community's just got to watch out for each other and they need to improve on the security because it's just BS. Or just keep the really high grade books or the expensive ones underneath your
Especially
armpit.
if you're not going to sell it. If you're not going to sell it, why don't you go to like a big site that will actually get? But okay, back to what Daniel was saying. You know how you had to watch out Facebook. I don't know if you remember, Caesar. The beginning when the PS5s were coming out.
Oh yeah.
There was people, raffling them out, right, on certain pages.
Yep.
Somebody won it, and they received what was it?
It received a
box of cereal, an empty cereal box.
Oh no!
No,
they received crackers.
Crackers. There we go. Crackers.
Cheese and crackers. That's what they got. So they won. They won a PS5 back when PS5 it was like really hard to get, right?
Yeah.
So they were raffling it. This guy probably bought it for won it for $15. All excited. He gets the box. He gets everything in it and opens it up, and it's cheese and crackers.
Wow.
And then Facebook, as you know, you just
pretty much
delete your account, and
yeah, you can just be a ghost,
and then it just reappear again as a different account.
Alex was there. Remember, Alex, I think was one of the first people that told me about it. The picture of the PlayStation was sent in that box. So, I mean, technically they got a PlayStation picture, but not what they wanted. Pretty much.
You know, it's so what did Billy say? The question is, are there really people walking into a con to buy 6 or 7 figure books? Like, why bring that to begin with, right? Like what you said, Dale. And it's, that's why people go to that segues into my thing. Heritage Auction, right, has all the big books of that. Do they also do the big Pokemons as well?
They do a lot, and I don't know if they do Pokemon. That's a good question, because I mean, if Golden does, why wouldn't Heritage? You know what I mean? They're pretty much the same thing,
and they're a competition of each other. So you're right. If Golden's doing it, then I'm assuming that Heritage is also selling high dollar Pokemon cards. And 10 do they exist, Daniel? The 10.0s? Is there a 10.0 Pokemon?
Yeah, I've got one. I got one sitting right here.
Of a height. So when you do that, now just like comic books, I'm assuming there's no bends on those edges at all, right? What would qualify that as just nothing? Just it was never breathed on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like it's considered a gem mint 10. It's the edges are going to be free of any kind of whitening. There's no bends on the card. The texture of the card's gone over with special equipment to make sure there's no like scratches, anything like that. I think Gem Mint 10, there can technically be like the slightest of, little hair scratches, maybe one, maybe.
I would assume it would probably be a printer defect, right? If it's a print, what if it's a printer defect? Like it came out that way.
Then it would actually get an error. It would be recognized as an error, at least through CGC.
But can you still get it? Can you still get a 10.0 with an error?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
No,
it
because
does.
Oh, it's
more than
different.
likely the air will
It will
like
ding it.
the new labels don't have subgrades, but for instance, if it's like a miscut card where it's like, super
Off this
wide on
much.
one side, super thin on the other, the centering will just have a dash through it. Like they won't even grade the centering, so the highest grade you can get is a 9. Then they'll
So,
grade you on the other 3.
so what I've learned lately is that two things. They're not doing 9.5s anymore, so you can take it in to probably get a 10. And the second thing I learned, there is a difference between a grade 10, and a pristine 10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm learning because my son is that they grade you in like 4 or 5 different things. Do you know exactly what they grade you on, Daniel? Because I know they can give like a 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, or like a 10, 10, 9.5, 10. So technically,
Yeah.
you get an average of 10, right? But it's
Oh.
not pristine. So that's the difference. What I learned. But what do they grade you by exactly? I just know the edges and centering.
Yeah, so they grade you on the surface,
Okay,
the corners, edges, and centering.
there you
So
go.
no scratches on the surfaces, right? No blemishes, no light, no
Mhm.
tanning, no where sunspots or whatever it be, right?
Right. Yeah, if you're looking to get a gem mint 10 or especially a pristine 10, it seems like pristine 10s are relatively hard to hit now. They've changed their grading scale a little bit. So
That's good.
there'll still be 9.5s that exist, but all existing 9.5s are being upgraded to gem mint, so therefore they're considered a 10.
So now I'm getting it. So what they do is that they grade on certain levels and then they take the average of those grades and give you for what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to get a perfect 10, you would have to get a 10 on all the scores to get
Right.
a 10. But if you
Yeah.
like Dell said, if you get a 10, 10, 9, 5, and a 10, then you'll get a 10, but it's a less 10.
Gem man, right? As you said.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact numbers for the pristine 10s, but they used to have what's called a perfect 10, but they actually got rid of that because they thought that having a gem mint 10, a pristine 10, and a perfect 10 was just too much to have in one category. So they did away with the perfect 10s. And perfect 10 is exactly what you think it is. You have all 10 subgrades on all 4 categories.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
what is your grill that you have card wise?
Yeah.
For me, um, it's in a case way over there. It's one of my Charmanders. Well, I don't even know which one I would pick. But I collect Charmander. Charmander's my favorite, so I collect all PSA 9s of Charmander. It's probably the Japanese vending series Charmander. I've also got a McDonald's Hollow promo. Um, in a 9. I think it's from like 2005. Probably one of my favorites.
So, do you have any pristine nines or gem men? I mean, pristine tens or gem men tens to like show the difference and how it looks on the label?
Sorry, I was messaging you back there. What was that question again? Can you repeat that for me?
I apologize about that. Do you
Oh,
have a gem men 10 or a pristine 10 so we can see the labels and the difference in it?
I don't have a pristine, but I have a gem mint. So let's see if the camera can pick that up. Yeah. So that's a gem mint 10. A pristine 10 is going to have the 10 and where it says gem mint there, it's going to say pristine, but it's actually going to be in gold. And it's actually embossed, so it's a little raised off the label. The 10s seem the pristine 10s seem pretty hard to hit. I'm not gonna lie. Um,
that's
so
it's very funny that at one point there was some kid who had the exact same card you had, Daniel, and was just tearing it up. I mean,
oh yeah, I'm sure.
trading it and throwing against the whatever. They're mad and they throw on the wall, and here we are spending money on these cards. It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
hard to wrap your mind around it.
like
It's
that.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like that card, like raw, is worth hundreds of dollars, and in the grade that it is now in a gem mint, it's like a $1,200 card.
It's crazy.
And that's a relatively new set. That's only like maybe a year old. But if you find vintage cards that can grade high, if you get like a vintage hollow that grades a 10, those are usually worth significantly more money, especially if you're talking about some of the big chase cards like Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur,
The original four, right? Pretty much in Pikachu.
Yeah. We call the big three: Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard. Pikachu's definitely up there as well.
I never played that, honestly. So before Caesar answers this question, my question is, we know CGC grades it. There's PSA. Who else? And I think Becker, right? Or
Beckett.
Beckett. Who else grades cards?
Let's see. PSA, CGC, Beckett. There's AGS. Actually, happen to have one of their
That's newer,
slabs
right?
right here. Yeah, this is new. So this is all graded by AI.
By AI.
Yeah, so PSA, CGC, Beckett, they use some forms of artificial intelligence and scanners and that kind of thing to help them
Sure.
with grading. But
Sure.
at the end of the day, it's a human that's making the determination on what grade it should be. I mean, it goes
Right.
through a couple people. But AGS is one of the very few companies, they're relatively new, that it's all done with a computer and AI. There's no judgment by an actual person on what grade it is.
Well, let's be honest. There's been a lot of talk of having a pitch count for robots for baseball, right? So they want to do away with umpires and use a robot to see the strike zone, because as we well know, a lot of umpires make mistakes between balls and strikes that can cost a game.
Mhm.
But a robot will never ever fail that box. So when it comes to something like this, you go, well, we make that joke of this book came back at 9.6 or this card came back at 9.6, but I don't know why, because I don't see anything wrong with it. Well, that grader must have had a bad night last night, right? So he came in all pissy, and your card was the first one he graded, right? He was just in a shitty mood. The computers and software don't do that. Like you said, there's no judgment. They see exactly what it is and they do it. Interesting. But isn't PSA the most expensive? Not expensive. Isn't PSA the most common one?
Yeah, so PSA holds the most value, and it's definitely the most used grading service. CGC is I would love to say a close second, but it's not even close.
Oh, really?
PSA does 10 to 15 times the amount that CGC does.
Wow.
But CGC is still putting up impressive numbers, but just not even close.
So you're saying that if I was to send any of these cards in, I should probably do it to PSA then?
If I was you, if I were you, I said was, I would use CGC.
Oh, really?
And
Because it's why?
my reasoning behind that is turnaround times. Turnaround times are significantly better. Pricing is pretty competitive. If you can submit at least 50 cards, then you'll get bulk rate. And they might have actually done away with that because since they redid their labels, I think they changed some of their membership policies. So that might be something to look into. But CGC seems to be way more consistent. And the fact that you can hit half grades with CGC can be a huge game changer. So, for instance, if you have a Pokemon card, for instance, a first edition Holo Neolugia, if you hit a 9 with PSA, it's going to be at a 9 valuation for PSA. We'll look at recent solds, we'll see what 9 sold for, etc. If you can hit a 9.5 with CGC, that 0.5 can mean the difference of like a couple $1,000s. So we like to we prefer to grade with CGC simply for that fact. If you can grade a little bit higher on edges and corners, it might get you that extra 0.5, which is going to help you with overall value.
So two questions. I know when I went to was one big question. So Beckett is part of CBCS, correct, Daniel? Right? They're trying to I think CBCS and Beck were trying
Yeah,
to form.
Beckett.
I'm not. I'm
I
not
thought
very.
Beckett. I thought Beckett bought CBCS because that's how they use the verifications.
I think so. So okay, well that there was just wondering if you knew, but if you don't, that's fine. My question is because with us we buy CGC and CBCS, and there's like a third option, but that's not big. There is a price difference when you buy them off of eBay. They will CGC comic a slab will go for a higher rate than a CBCS. Is that the same when it goes to PSA and CCC slabs? Say it's a 9.0, like same grade, same card, everything. Will a PSA garner more money or request more money than a CGC slab?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
PSA just holds a higher value overall.
Yes.
But yeah, really the only factor there to consider is just that half grade with CGC. If if you submit the same card to PSA 3 times and it hits a 9 every single time, if you submit a card to CGC, same card every time. I mean, even if you hit 9.5 every single time, if you have 3 of the same card, like it's going to be worth more money than a 9.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they sell, usually a month or two apart. Occasionally there'll be some really big market shifts. We've seen that with the set team up, so tag teams. It's more of a modern set. Some might consider it more mid-era now because I think it's a little over 5 years old. Um, but that saw like a price increase of like 150% per card just over the course of like 30 days. And same can be said for graded cards from that set. So the markets kind of can be very volatile, but
Yeah.
so if we buy a collection, in January, we're definitely checking values in February, March, because you just never know what can happen.
So I had a question with that. Well, not with that, but with you, Daniel. With the vortex, you said you might be expanding in the future. Is there, if you were to expand, where would you expand? If you know what, even better, if you weren't selling Pokemon cards, what kind of cards would you be selling and why?
Uh, I think if we were to expand, I would probably. I don't know. That's a tough question. It would probably have to be a brand new TCG. If we were going to expand outside of Pokemon, it'd have to be something that would get our attention. I know Lorcana is gaining a lot of attention right now. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that set coming up. It's a Disney-backed set. Um,
Oh,
so it's looking to be a very popular TCG. But I don't see us ever moving away from Pokemon. That's kind of
the
that's
bread
what
and
we
butter.
love. That's what we're knowledgeable on. It's what we're passionate about, and that's the kind of people that we like talking with. So.
So you'll never go into sports part because I know sports cards have been going bananas, especially because I remember the one that had the promo for the Triple B, and looking for that $1.5 million card,
Mhm.
and right that was crazy, and they're still going to different promotions. So that's something that doesn't bring your interest at all.
I would say not for me personally. I can only fit so much information in my head. I've got a daughter, I've got a wife to take care of, and now my head's full of Pokemon knowledge, and I don't think I could I don't think I could fit anything like sports in there. That's just a whole another world. It's a whole different culture too.
That is true. And then, once again, guys, happy birthday to his daughter. She just turned 6 years old today. Happy birthday
Wow.
from us from the
X.
comic menu. And
Thank
he's
you.
turning 33 on the weekend.
33.
I
Yeah.
know I'm
A
an old
young
man.
whippersnapper. Yeah, old man.
I'm an old man.
This guy.
Compared to who? Compared to
Compared to
who? But to
who?
your daughter, maybe. Everybody in this comment section, I know more or less her age. You're younger than all of them, except
Oh
Steve.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, they're
I'm
yeah.
I'm probably I think I'm second oldest on the Vortex Breaks team, so I think Josh is the only one that's edged me out. So
Well, yeah, Josh is actually quite. Isn't he like 6 years older than you, something like that?
No, he's like 2 years older. I think he's 35.
We're the
So,
same age.
you're touching about the the comic world. It's like the stock market. I tell people, right? Because now we're on right now it's a buyer's market, right? People are selling their books, and you books that were $2,000 a couple of years ago are that same book is now 13, or even less. So you're saying there's the same low in the Pokemon cards as well?
Oh,
Oh yeah, the market goes up and down all the time.
Where are you guys at
It's
now?
what's that?
Where is it now?
Right now it's pretty close to the bottom, I would say.
Really?
You know, there's a few sets that are like outliers there. And when I say the bottom, it's like, so there's some sets that are selling currently for $40,000, like a $40,000 booster box, but maybe it used to be, a $70,000 booster
Okay.
box.
So
So
now's a
like,
good time to buy.
yeah,
Basically, right?
now's a good time to buy, and you
Hmm.
can rip packs all day, and like we kind of started the conversation with at the beginning of the show, you have to get lucky sometimes to get the card that you want, and we've taken that pretty seriously, and that's kind of why we sell singles. People don't have to rip packs and get
Hmm.
next to nothing and not get the hits that you want. But
I
ripping is also fun, so we do it occasionally, but that's why we primarily sell singles. We like going through cards. Like I was actually processing cards before the show, and I was like surprised. I'm like, wow, this is a $70 card. It looks like every other $5 card. So we
see
just enjoy that kind of
so
stuff.
that's the difference, right? That's where the knowledge comes in. To any naked eye, you could have a $400 card and a $5 card, and they look the same, right?
Hmm.
For someone who's not for someone like me, if someone says, "Oh, here's a bunch of Pokemon cards, I don't need them anymore," I don't know what the hell it is. I would contact guys like you and go, "What do I have here?" Right?
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
So
Ah,
I just had a question for everybody in the chat. We talked about it earlier, and some people came in kind of late. Who invested in MetaZoo? Because I bought some cards from MetaZoo as well. And I actually bought a box. Yeah, I won, but I didn't invest too hard, right? It doesn't hurt so much for me.
yeah, some
But
people went hard. Some people went hard on the
yeah,
MetaZoo.
I would suggest, like, I know Daniel brought up one newer MTG TCG card game coming out, but if somebody were to get into the business, Daniel, do you suggest that going into something that's established and nothing that won't change, like Pokemon, or just something different, like, because I know people took chances with MetaZoo. Now it's like too meta poo. Did What would you suggest for somebody that's new, and how would do you think they would be better off selling the platform or just sending individually on eBay just to get their feet wet?
To be honest, I would, if I was brand new, I didn't know anything about any card game, and I'm like, look, I want to start collecting something because
Hmm.
I need to find a hobby, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
It's probably going to sound biased, but like Pokemon is just it's a great community and it's a great culture around it. There's always the bad eggs in any kind of community, but with Pokemon, there's so many different sets, and you don't have to collect sets. You can just collect the cards that look cute or that look cool, or you want to collect all the blue ones, all the green, all the red,
The
whatever you
energies.
Right,
want. Like,
right, yeah.
you don't have to care about value either. There's just so many of them that you can enjoy the hobby just collecting what you want. And the culture around Pokemon is just, it's very different. In comparison to, say, maybe like sports. I feel like
Yeah.
sports collecting, it's very, very competitive.
Oh, I would think so.
Um
100%. Yeah.
and it's all based on if X player is playing good that year, how much his rookie cards is going to be worth,
Yeah.
in a couple years.
Yeah.
Or if he
yeah.
retires with a couple Super Bowls, that can be the difference of the value for your cards. But with Pokemon, it's literally just the demand.
I wouldn't think it would be fun collecting sports cards. It would be kind of
You're doing it for the
stressful.
money. You're doing it for
it's
the
stressful.
money.
It'd be
It's stressful.
stressful. You're like
I would
watching the
stress out.
Super Bowl game and you're like, all right, I just spent $1,000 on this card because I'm betting on this guy to throw this Super Bowl winning touchdown pass or something, I might sound dumb because I'm not really in the sports world, but I'm assuming that's maybe how it works. He makes the catch and he throws the game-winning touchdown. It's like, great, maybe my card's worth an extra $1,000. But if he doesn't, if he chokes and has a terrible game, everyone's going to be dumping that card, and that card you spent $1,000 on, you're just like, well, this is a paperweight now. Unless I get lucky and he has another good season.
I've been there, Billy.
It's a Daniel. It's a parallel, and we keep going back because Dale and I we're more obviously more comics. There's a parallel between what you're doing. We're talking about with the sports and the comics is the same thing, right? The price of a comic goes high because so and so was casted in the new movie, and then the movie comes out and the movie sucks, and now that $500 book now is $250. And I do mean like $2.50. So it's the same thing now. That being said, in Pokemon cards, I would think that doesn't exist, right? I mean, if it's at a level, that's it. If anything, it's just going to go up because there's no speculation of anything. It is what it is.
Yeah. So I think that holds true for the most part in comparison to like sports and like how you said, if someone gets cast in a movie, something like that, and the movie does bad. So Pokemon's not like that. I will say that modern sets that are still being actively printed, when it releases in Japan, for example, like a Chase Charizard out of one set releases in Japan, it might be reselling for upwards of $800-900. But as soon as the set hits English, you see that Japanese Charizard that was up really high, maybe drop down to $500-600. And then when you look at the English equivalent, it's probably around $300. And then if you look at those prices just like 2 weeks after release, it's normally cut in half.
But
so
you know what? So can you answer that question about that? Like, because he's bringing up the good topic. Do tournaments affect the pricing as well?
Demand for certain cards. Yes, absolutely. So that's one good thing to point out, Alex. We're not really, at least I'm not personally in touch with the actual players that actually play the game Pokemon. I would argue that Pokemon is probably 80% collectors, 20% players.
That's funny.
But compare
where it started out.
Yeah, there are a lot of cards that spike in value that, there's like standard V cards. I don't know if I have any sitting on my desk. But usually they're like under $1 for these V cards. But if you have someone that wins a tournament with a set of these
like
specific cards, yeah, exactly. So yeah, we can pretend, Mimikyu is normally like $1, but if someone wins a tournament with that card, it spikes up to like $20. That used to be $1 card. It's because everyone that's a player is like, well, hold on a second, I didn't realize this was like a good card to use with this card, So,
hey, it's funny. I have a Metazu in here.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there you go. So that's you know what, Daniel, that's actually very interesting. So a card that could be meh, and if it wins a tournament, that card could shoot up in value.
Mm-hmm. We've seen it a couple times where we auction everything at $1. So, I don't stay up with that as probably as much as I should, and I just stir up the card and it goes crazy, and it'll hit like $20, and I'm like, did you just misbid? Like, you can submit a cancel. Like, I don't need you paying $20 for a
Well,
dollar card or whatever.
that's the what not way. Don't you know that?
Right. And
it is what
and
it
they're
is.
like, no, that's a playable card, and the chat's like going crazy, like, yeah, that's a playable card. That's what it sells for.
Wow.
I'm like, oh,
All
okay.
You
I
know
had
more
no
than I
clue.
do, right?
Yeah.
So
That's because they play and you don't.
Right.
collect. So quick, what do you value these?
Get a little closer, Dale.
Those are both 25th anniversary celebrations. You can tell by the little Pikachu
Pokemon,
symbol with the
yeah.
25 on them. The Shiny Magikarp and the Umbreon are both like a reprint. They just have a different hollow pattern. Umbreon actually was non-hollow originally. I would say, if I had to guess, ballpark, you might have to check me. Well, maybe we can see how close I am. I'd probably say, like, I think that Umbreon goes for like 35, and I
Oh, there you
think
go.
the Magikarp's like 15. So maybe
Dale,
like
is that what your boy pulled out that day?
He pulled another one that was worth $15. I put it away, but I can't find it now, and I'm kind of like, hope I didn't lose it. But he did pull a good card. And then I was gonna ask you, how much is this one?
it's a Japanese Hollow Pichu 7.5. I'll be honest,
1999.
it's probably like a $15 slab. Not much for that guy.
Oh, there
That's
you
fine. I
go.
won it for free, anyways.
I was gonna say, Dale just got deflated. Thank you, Daniel, for.
No, I'm cool with it. I still,
Sorry.
These are my
He was
kids, anyways.
No, he was
But
about to go buy that Ferrari, Daniel. Then he.
No, he loves this one more. And then what I have for me, but I'm probably gonna sell soon, is this. It's the rookie card for Kobe Bryant. So even at
Okay.
that, I keep this just like I'm not honestly I'm a Spurs fan, but I respect the crap out of Kobe, and he's passed away. So unfortunately, you got yourself a solid 50 cents there. Though shut your mouth, Billy.
What? It's so crazy. It's I don't know, this whole card thing. It's
I saw.
nuts, man. It's nuts, Daniel. It's hard to
Yeah.
grab. It's hard to. But once again, people could look at us and go, "Why the fuck do you have a comic room?" You know what I mean?
Right.
And what's the difference? I'm like, you're right. There is no difference. But okay, now, Pogs. If everyone remembers Pogs, Pogs was the shit back in the day. Everyone would play and this and that, and next thing you know, people started spending money on the OG Pogs, and I'm going, huh? Of course you're going to spend money on OG Pogs, because if people are spending money for OG Pokemon cards, why not? What's
Right.
it's that's no much of a difference to me.
What was that stuff that everybody thought was going to be the big thing? The little animals, the little like
Oh, the ones you feed.
no, that's something else. No,
The
they
Beanie
were.
Babies.
There we go, Beanie Babies. They were supposed to be the next big thing, and nothing ever happened with that.
Well, it's funny. The Beanie Babies is a very good example, and I'm going to go back to the Golding. Right? They found that Beanie Baby collector who has a shitload, and they're worth tons of money
Supposedly.
in great condition. Now, the same way we're talking about the condition of cards with the corners and the centering and the surface and all that, but Beanie
Mhm.
Babies, I guess they go based on how they sit. Do they droop, or do they go back? Is there any kind of stitching missing or anything like that? It's just
It's wild.
it's wild. It really is. But speaking of, but in Golding, there is that episode where they found those three Charizards or three Charizards. Is that what it is?
Yes, Charizard.
And they try to sell all three of them in a one collection for a shitload of money. I guess if you can do it, if you want to get, I mean, if you can spare getting rid of them, because that's the whole thing, right? Well, people say, well, don't sell it now, because in 10 years from now, it's going to be worth even more.
Supposedly.
What do you think, Daniel? Would you sell stuff now? Or would you just kind of go, I'm going to hold on to it and it'll be worth double in 10 years?
There's some things that I'm holding on to. It really just depends on the item. But if we're talking business sense, it makes sense to keep money moving. I do this full time now, so I got a daughter and wife to support. Got a family to feed, so I keep some things, in hopes that it'll increase in value over time. Like I bought this might be another language to you guys, but EV Heroes gym set box, only
Okay.
released in Japan. Um, and I kept it. I bought it for actually won the Japanese lottery, which they operate very differently over in Japan. They limit they limit how many items you can buy. They do it like lottery style. If they make 10,000 of an item, everyone enters the lottery, and then 10,000 people win. And then
Oh,
you purchase it, they ship
Oh,
it to you.
that's interesting.
Anyway, I paid a little over $100 for it. It's up to, I think last time I checked, it was like a little over $1,500, something like
Okay.
that,
oh,
and that's only in the course of like maybe 8 months, 9 months, something like that.
So stuff like that you
Um,
hold on to.
oh yeah, there's boxes very similar, like it they did like a promotion, Luigi Pikachu and like Mario Pikachu promos that come in these boxes, and they were the same price back then, and now you can't find one cheaper than $5,000.
wow.
And I think boxes like that are only going to keep going up in value.
So I have a question because we always try to keep this at about 1 hour. We're pretty much past. So my question is, what would you tell a brand new collector when going into shows? Like I know we talked about buying and shipping and stuff like that. How about when they're how can they tell there's a like reopened pack or a pack that was resealed pack? How can they tell? How can they uh see if there's a pattern when they're doing certain stuff? Like how can they protect themselves from buying from a scammer?
Sure. So it's not always easy to see when a pack has been resealed, other than if the packs are always on screen, if they're open out of a fresh box, if they're mixed on screen, that kind of thing. Anytime we open any kind of packs on Vortex breaks, we'll have, like, I've got this box just sitting here. This is a Korean EV Heroes booster box. Um, I'll open this up. I'll set the packs on screen. The packs never leave the screen. The chat watches me open the box, sees that it's sealed. Um, you just need to buy from reputable
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Look at reviews. Maybe watch a show or two and just see, like, people, if is there people returning to the show, that kind of thing. I can confidently say that we have a great reputation on Whatnot, and it's something that we value a lot. um, we have we have a ton of retention when it comes to our buyers.
Heck yeah.
When someone buys from us, they either come back to Whatnot and they buy from someone else, or they come back and buy from us. We have a
Mhm.
lot of repeat buyers, but we also have a lot of new buyers. And that's why we like to do things with full transparency. Like when we open up a vintage, like this is a
Oh, hold on.
fossil unlimited vintage pack. This retails anywhere from like 2 to 250 depending on the weight. Um,
Unopened?
yeah, unopened. So when we open up a box, all the cards are going to stay on screen. And I personally open up the box, and we actually put them in a team bag. We sandwich them between some card savers, and this is actually tamper sealed. So this is a unique serial number.
Wow.
If anyone tries to take it out of the bag, like, it's going to say void underneath the sticker, like with the residue that it leaves behind.
Huh.
So, like, I've got like 7 of those packs for sale that are out of a sealed booster box. And what I tell people all the time is, when someone buys that pack, I'll weigh it for them on screen. We'll see if it's a light pack or a heavy. If it's a heavy, that means that it contains a hollow foil. If they would like to keep the heavy pack sealed, we can totally do that. And I'll actually bring out a new tamper seal label, new serial number. I'll read off the serial number. I'll sign and date it, slap it on there so that they're getting the exact same serial number that they see on screen in the mail.
Damn.
Because unfortunately, there's a lot of opportunity to mislead people. Not a lot of people on Whatnot and really any platform. When they buy a vintage pack or a pack, like they're not going out of their way to weigh it. Maybe that's not their format, but if they've got a vintage pack, this just helps give the buyer ease of mind that what they bought is exactly what they're getting. Because
Heck
it'd be easy to sell someone a fossil pack. And you're like, great, thank you. We're going to ship this to you sealed, blah, blah, blah. After the show, they weigh it themselves, confirm that it's actually heavy. Then they just swap it out with a light pack and they send them a light pack.
Yeah.
So this is a way to keep it consistent. We're all about full transparency.
I like it. I mean, that's pretty right, Dale. I mean, that's a system. You guys got a system, and it's that's admirable. I really respect that because it gives the buyer peace of mind. And like you said, you get repeat customers because you treated them well the first time, and the second, and the third, and the fourth, and then you get the word of mouth, and then they come into your show and all that. So that's great, man. I like that.
And the reason, and we booked this show back in July with Josh, and unfortunately there were some events with Whatnot with a big seller. There's some accusations about them swapping packs on screen. This and that. Everybody knows I used to work for Whatnot. I used to be part of the organization. I am not. I don't promote them as much, but Vortex Breaks, I can 100% say they are a great and legitimate business out there that's on Whatnot that's selling. They are a great group of people. They're only growing. They even have a Mexican on their group. I mean, what can you say about that? You know what I mean? Once you have diversity in one of your group, I 100% am behind it. But no, on all realness, their reputation is sweet. I've known Josh for over a year, and I wanted the opportunity to bring him on and show, hey, there's a different light, and which is happening. Which is different. Like there's a good light on Whatnot. If you want to ease your mind, give Portugal Breaks a chance. Go buy what they have. Go support them. If you want to buy a fossil pack when they weigh in front of you, you're hearing what they do to prevent all this bullshit. I mean, I wouldn't see why not. Why would they wouldn't buy anything? Reputation is never worth compromising for. Exactly.
Yeah. You can make a quick buck and then do something shitty, and then you're ruined.
Right.
Shut up, Billy. This guy. But with that being said, we always keep our show about an hour. I wanted to make sure we did get that transparency that we do know what's the difference between you and everybody else out there. And I'm glad you did a great job, Daniel. I know Josh would be proud of you. He said to talk about feed pics, and I was like, no, I can't do it to him today. Maybe next time. But before we do get you out, how can if everybody wants to get in touch with you about certain things? What's the best way? Is it just Vortex Breaks, or what do you go by on Whatnot?
Yeah, we're Vortex Breaks on virtually every social media platform out there. I would say the best way to get in contact with us would probably be through Instagram. So you can DM us on Instagram if you've got a question, if you have a collection for sale, maybe you've got a card you don't know the value of, that kind of thing. We, as you can imagine, we do get a lot of DMs, so there might be a delay, or you might have to remind us. But we try to help out whoever we can. But I would say Instagram is probably where we're most active outside of Whatnot. We're live almost 24/7 on Whatnot. That's the end goal, right? We want Vortex Breaks to be seen anytime someone opens up the Whatnot app. So that's definitely our end goal right now. So really we're just cranking them. We're just cranking out the shows. I'm gonna keep processing some cards for my show tomorrow morning right after this.
So how many are you right now? And I know we're trying to end the show, but how many are you in the group currently? Because I know you started off with 4, and now it's how many do you have?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think we're like close to 17, 18 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang,
Ah,
that's
so that's why
good.
you guys go 24/7 because you always have somebody live.
Yeah, I think we've got 3 or 4 people on our second channel that we just started, Vortex Breaks TCG. Um, so we're trying to build that channel up right now. It's coming along. We've got some great talent that we brought on, and they're doing really really good. And the goal is to if you want to have a pop up show on the main channel, but someone else is live, well, second channel, you can go live on the second channel, or eventually we're gonna have a third channel, a fourth channel. We might get into different categories, but that's that's definitely what the outlook looks like.
Wow.
That's
Good for you,
awesome.
man. That's good. I like I said, I respect what you guys are doing. You guys are doing a service out there for the community, and you're there for the community, especially for those who've been around and now have a outlet, and for those who are just getting into it and want to find a place where they feel safe. So, thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
most
Appreciate that.
definitely. I appreciate you guys having me on. If there's anybody trying to get into Pokemon, we sell like 5,000 Pokemon singles in a week.
Jeez.
So chances are, you can come in, grab a couple for the low, and see if it's your cup of tea. Start building up a binder.
And thank you for reminding me, Dave. I've sold over 100,000 items on one night.
Wow.
In
That's
about
crazy.
in like a year and a half. So like when we started this year, I think we were at like 35,000 sold. So we've really kicked it into high gear.
Good for you guys.
Well,
Good
with
for you
18
guys.
people, yeah, of course. Hey, well, that being said, Caesar, you want to say your little
Yeah, man. So obviously you can find me here every Wednesday night. You could also go and follow me on Instagram at the Real Dracula's Wolf. I'm 2 away from 800, as a matter of fact. Look at
don't
that.
follow him, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel, follow
Don't
me, you
follow
son of
him.
a bitch.
Don't follow him. Fuck
You
no.
know,
Fuck that guy.
we got some good stuff coming up. I don't know if you guys have seen Daniel Dell's post, but he put up the September stuff. We got something up coming up in September. We got some good stuff, people, and we're working in October and November. I think we're booked all the way to November, actually.
Wow.
So
Mid-November, so we're
yeah,
good on that.
so we're on our way. We're getting close to 13K, right?
That reminds me, I
Um,
think we might have hit it already. So let me just double check
there
on
we
that.
go. And to think, Daniel,
Yes, we did.
we started this. When did we
April.
start this? In April. Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
That's really good.
Well, Dell works his ass off on the Facebook page because he puts a lot of content out there that brings people on there, and then he puts our shows on here, and then we're gonna start to slowly build up our YouTube channels and stuff like that. So, anyways, thank you guys for joining, and I appreciate Daniel for showing up.
And is my good. I want to shout out a couple of my promoters or people I work for. We got. That's in the background. Let me go to the front. I have a couple of pictures I want to show off. We do got this with Nomas with Ariel Diaz being sold. Um,
Oh, that's nice.
this is with Lost Boy Comics. And then the last one, I do need to kick all of us out real quick. But back on. I messed up that, but it's all good.
That wasn't weird at all.
Have a great night, guys. Thanks for joining. I appreciate everybody
All right,
stopping by.
Billy.
Thank you, Daniel, for stopping by and stepping in for Josh. Appreciate you. Until next Wednesday, guys. Oh, next Wednesday it's just a comic book, guys. We're gonna have a good shit show on next Wednesday, that's for sure. But oh no. Before I do let everybody go, on Sunday, Anbu will have to take control of the show. She is doing that fundraiser for the people in Maui. Please tune in to that fundraiser show on Sunday, and then on Wednesday we'll give out the amounts and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you, everybody stopping by. See you again until next Wednesday. Bye, guys.
See ya.